NCAA champion. I mean, talk me through kind of how the race went for you.
It was a hard one. And I thought it was just me, and then I finished, and Gibby was like, that was a hard one. Great, I'm glad when we agree. I think my best case scenario would have been for us to go out quick. It's just easier, the rhythms feel smoother, and the gear changes happen more naturally, but we had a game plan for if we didn't, and we didn't, and I kind of saw the first lap, and I was like, oof, unless someone takes it, it's gonna have to go to plan B, and then no one took it, and then I was like, okay, it's plan B. Made eye contact with Gibby, had our communication, and I knew what I needed to do, but really going into this, just practicing, trusting myself, and not worrying too much. I didn't do as good a job as I would have hoped, but not worrying too much what was going on behind me and just putting one foot in front of the other once I take the lead.
When the race doesn't go as you might have expected or as you might have planned, is it that kind of eye communication with your coach? Are those things, helping you to calm down and make sure you're prepared as best as possible?
Absolutely. We have a little hand signal setup that has worked really well the last couple of years in terms of kind of if we've talked about a couple different approaches. And it's great because it does feel like sometimes he can see things going on in the race that I can't always see when I'm in it. So it makes me feel a little more at ease to know there's a second set of eyes on what I'm doing. And sometimes when it's hard to trust yourself, it's easier to trust your coach who's telling you just do what I say and stick to our plan that we've put together over kind of months and now years of working together.
2:05 last 800 for you, which is very fast. You don't run the 800 often, but how do you respond after 2:05 and then I think 61 roughly for your last 400 too?
Oh, that makes me so happy. I've been trying to get into the low 60s for my close all year. I had it kind of going well indoors. The dream is to close in 60. I don't know that I've done that yet in a race, so it's a long summer, so hopefully I'll have more opportunities to do that. I haven't run an 8. Hopefully, again, that's something I get the chance to do in the coming years. I've run 2 or 3 in college, I think, but I train with my teammate, not often, but sometimes, Sophia. She's about to run the 800 final. She's super fast, and that's actually been really huge for me this year. When I really need to rip a rep, having her there, she just gets out so much quicker than me, and we can work together in that way, so that's been really fun.
Can you share what those hand signals are with you and Gibby?
No, secrets. Nah, just number of laps to go and kind of at what point he wants me to make a move.
Where did you get the idea of a hand signal though?
I can't hear him sometimes. There's a crowd.
Okay.
Yeah, so yeah.
But that's a baseball thing.
Oh really?
Yeah,
Oh yeah, I didn't know that. It's just kind of been it started outdoors and indoors. It's really easy because there are so many laps, so it's 3 laps to go. I'm giving away all the secrets. But I try to find him in the first lap when there's probably not going to be much feedback and make eye contact then, just so we know where each other are. But also, I've had some races this year where he hasn't been able to come kind of on the infield, and definitely at some of those bigger meets, that's not an option. And so that's been kind of a learning curve for me as well, to just talk to him about the plan beforehand, and then at the end of the day, I'm the one on the track. So kind of figuring out how to do both.
Maya, in the past you've talked about finding your joy in the sport.
Yeah.
You're winning national titles, you're running some of the fastest collegiate times ever. Do you feel like you found your joy?
Yeah, absolutely. And I still need reminders. I was standing out there, and Gibby and some of his other coaching friends who are coaches at other schools were all talking, and I'm sitting there being really nervous, and a couple different people in not so many words, but kind of were you always seem like you're happy when you're doing this, and just kind of having other people notice that for me was really helpful. I do really enjoy this. I'm glad you can see that. It makes it easier. It's a hard thing we do, and so it may as well be happy about it. Yeah, and I recognize that things have been going well this year, so it's also easy to find it. But I think it's chicken and egg.
How does this feel different from the title last year in Austin?
Oof. Gibby will be like, you had nothing to prove. But I feel like I had nothing to prove last year. I was coming in really with no expectations. My indoor season didn't go as well as I wanted it last year, going into outdoors last year. So I was really just looking for a good race. This year I think I had more concrete expectations for what I was capable of. And I also think this year, from the start of the calendar year, honestly from the start of the school year, we've been planning to race into the summer. And so last year I knew I was coming into this race, and it was the very end of my season, and I was ready to just be done on Sunday. And this year it's been kind of about finding more patience to know that I'm hoping to be racing until the end of August, and this is one step along a much broader journey. And I think that made it harder in a lot of ways for me going into this meet, but I've had a great time. My whole family's here, or minus my brother, but my little sister's here watching me race for the first time since I was probably 16. So it's been really cool.
Was this your last race for Harvard?
I believe so. I'm racing next weekend, but you know, it's that time of year when everything is getting figured out. So, but it's definitely my last race at the NCAA, and Harvard's got our biggest team ever here. I'm roommates with my actual roommate of 3 years and my best friend, and like we didn't know kind of going into this outdoor season whether we'd get this extra, really 3 weeks together. So that's been really special.
But have you decided on what your pro plans are?
Yes.
Can you announce them?
Not yet. I gotta just get everything sorted first, but it all will become clear very soon.
Yeah. Are you planning on staying in the U.S.?
I think so. There's more opportunities here. It's a little tough to kind of figure out. My family's really far away, but you know, there's no given my dad's job. Like, there's also no guarantees they're gonna be at home for the foreseeable future. They might do another posting. Who knows? So I knew I just kind of had to pick and make decisions about my next year based on what was going to kind of be the best for this part of my life, and then go from there. Hopefully I'll end up at home in the near future.
What's the goals for not only the race coming up next week, but then as you kind of lead through the rest of the summer?
I want to run another Fast 15, and then, you know, the Olympic qualifying window ends June 30th, so just kind of taking it week by week, performance by performance on that front, and then hopefully at the end of June I'll have a better idea of what my summer racing plans look like. I would love to run an 8. I think I've built some speed this year that I didn't quite have the legs for last year, so I would love to kind of test that out, and I think my T-first PB is 2:09.99, so obviously it's not going to end up on T-first, but I'd love a different mark and try it out a quick 8. Yeah.
Did you and Graham talk at all about this setting? I mean, yesterday he made a bold move in the 5K. Today you make a pretty risky bold move in the 15. Did you guys? What is it about both of you kind of making these decisions? You run for the same team. Was there anything to that or no?
Well, okay, full disclosure. Well, first we have the same coach, but also full disclosure, there was a workout a couple weeks ago, and it was right after pre. We obviously, must have been after regionals, and we'd all watched pre. We weren't here, obviously, and like we watched that men's mile, I guess, and I think Josh Kerr in the interview afterwards, like, I took it really early and it scares everybody. And we were just talking about that on the cool down, and that was kind of the extent of the conversation. Like, oh, haha, yeah, if you take it early, sometimes people are scared to go with the move, even if physically they could. But I don't think either of us kind of sat down and were like, this is what we're gonna do, and Gibby talks to each of us separately, like sort of minutes before the race. So ultimately, it's kind of, yeah, between Graham and Gibby, what their plan was yesterday, and Gibby and I, like I said, had a couple different options today. But you know, you get inspired by watching some of those pro races and seeing kind of the different tactics people can use, and then it becomes talk on the team, and so who knows if that was kind of at work in his mind.
You mentioned that